It's never gone away, Anton, is the truth of the matter. What has happened, though, is that it has been really relegated to the corner, the bad boys and bad girls corner, from a time when it was almost the prevailing law of the land, you could say. When I first got involved years ago with David Northway back in the 1970s, setting up the campaign for homosexual law reform, don't forget what we were trying to do was to change a law which criminalised homosexual activity. And there are countries all over the world where that still happens, where homosexual activity is criminalised, and indeed not only criminalised, but in some cases amenable to death penalties. We are fortunate to live, I think, as we do in a really very modern and very progressive democracy, where our people have been educated about human rights, about their own individual human rights, my right to, hold my beliefs, to freedom of expression and freedom of opinion and thought and belief, but also that if I want to hold those values and principles dear to me, I have to offer them to others because they are meaningless unless they are universal. So I think that's one of the great things now. And to go back to the issue of homophobia, look, it's out there. It's on the streets. When my son was married a couple of years ago, he's gay, and when he and his husband got married, and I was doing a kind of a little homily at the wedding, I just made the point about how fortunate we are to live in a place where he and his partner, his husband, can walk the streets in relative safety, but knowing too that there's always the homophobe. There's always the hatred that can outcrop, but also knowing there are parts of the world he simply cannot visit. There's work to be done. And honestly, Anton, I think we also need to have the kind of debate about where does this hatred come from? What keeps it going? What fails to challenge it? And I still think, regrettably, that in a country, where religion plays a very, very, very big role and is a huge key influencer of attitudes, I think the churches, and I'm not just talking about the Catholic Church, I'm talking about all the major denominations, because all of them are conduits for homophobia. They all have questions to ask about whether or not and to what extent they have been conduits for hatred.